So start it again. So we do the chanting straight away before meditations and Dharma Talk. Happy New Year to everyone. Though nothing new and everything new all at the same time. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Tudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Soha. So just before we start the meditations, I thought I'd give it like a 30-second New Year message. Last year, I think my New Year message took up the whole Dharma Talk. So if you want to listen to a long New Year message, 20 odd minutes or something or more, then have a look at last year's class. Okie doke. And the message really is to practice. Maybe you can just make it a little bit this is what I ask, that you increase your studies of the Dharma, unless, of course, your whole life is around the Dharma, of which, sometimes we have other things to do, as well as maintaining, of course, the positive and wholesome state of mind, which is practicing the Dharma in everything you do. But, your formal studies, maybe just read an extra paragraph a week, and then contemplate it, or an extra chapter a week of a book or scripture that you're reading, or another, some sort of teaching, some sort of short teaching, and then contemplate it. Just increase that a little bit. And then also increase your meditation practice a little bit. If you only do it, every few days or something like that, then bring it to every day. Every day you practice meditation. If your meditation sessions are, 15 minutes long, increase them to 20 minutes long. And if they're an hour long, then you can increase them a little bit more than that too. So, or if they're 5 minutes long, make them 7.5 minutes long. Or hopefully you get my point. Just increase the time and effort you spend and energy you spend on studying a little bit more and on practicing meditation a little bit more. Of course, contemplating what you study as well. And then your wisdom will increase, your compassion will increase, loving kindness will increase, and all of the other good qualities, all of the other far-reaching attitudes, the paramitas, you will start to get, they will increase, okay, for sure, guaranteed, stamp. And then, of course, you'll become more kind. We always can, we always can improve. And even those people that are very difficult, even those ones that behave extremely bad, still you can extend the loving kindness towards them. They're probably the hardest ones to extend the loving kindness towards. But you have to realize that all living beings have Buddha nature, and our true potential, we can attain enlightenment if we realize our true potential. Okay, so we wish that all living beings eventually wake up to themselves and start to practice Dharma and start to work their way towards realizing the true nature. So that's really my New Year message, I guess. Very short, a little bit longer than 30 seconds. And today I thought that we'd actually do longer meditations with more detail, okay, for the new year. This is the Happy New Year present. Start off by like this, like we used to do when we first started doing these classes. I think for the first probably 6 or 7 months, we were doing it like this, okay? And then since then, we've had less instruction and longer Dharma talks. Okay, so today now, let everything I just mentioned, this idea of New Year, nothing new, everything new, just let it go and bring your focus initially to your body. And let's release whatever tension we can from the body. So start at the bottom, start at the tips of your toes, and release the tension from your toes, from the bottom of your feet, the balls, the arches, the heels. From the top of your feet and around your ankles and Achilles tendons. Your lower leg, calf muscles, shins. And all around your knees, front, sides, and back of your knees. And your upper leg, the quad muscles at the front and the hamstrings at the back. Your hips, the glutes and groin, and lower stomach, lower back, just above your hips. Further up your stomach and your sides and the center of your back. From your chest, underneath your arms and your upper back. In between the shoulder blades and the spine on each side, you have the rhomboid muscles, so release the tension from them. And then on the outsides, the lateral muscles. Now also from the upper trap muscles that run between the neck and the shoulders. From your shoulders, upper arms, biceps and triceps, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. Now bring your focus to your neck and release the tension from the front, sides and back of your neck. From the back of your head, the sides of your head, around your ears and temples. From your face, make sure you're not clenching your jaw or frowning. Release the tension from your cheeks, chin, mouth, both inside and outside. Your nose and sinuses, eye sockets and eyes, forehead and the crown of your head. And now briefly scan your body from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers and to the top of your head, just to see if there's any more tension that you can release. Now bring your focus initially to the tip of your nose, and the meditation, as per usual, is meditation on the breath or mindfulness of the breath. Feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, down past your throat, past your chest area, into your lungs. They expand as they fill with air, and they compress as you breathe out. And the air leaves the body through your nose again. When you breathe in, you may notice that the air is quite cool on the back of your throat. And then as you breathe out, it's quite warm as it passes your throat. Don't attach to these extra details, but you can utilize them to help you focus or keep your focus on your breath. Remember, breathing is the most important physical thing that we do. Like I often say, it's like the canvas or the surface for a painter to paint on. Without that surface, you cannot paint anything. So without breathing, there's no life. So some people may think focusing on the breath is boring, but I can't think of something more interesting. The very most important physical thing that we do to survive. It also helps to bring the mind inside the body, the wandering monkey mind. We can tame it by doing this. So during this short session for meditation, if thoughts arise or any sort of mental activity arises, don't cling to it or grasp at it. Also, don't try to forcefully push it away or deny it even. By refocusing on your breath, let it go naturally, or let them go naturally. And conversely, if your mind starts to become sleepy and fuzzy and dull, then wake it up a little bit. by refocusing on your breath more brightly. This way, refocusing on your breath is the antidote for both the agitated mind as well as the dull mind. So let's practice like this in silence for a few minutes. So you can feel really pleased with yourself for engaging in this practice. Fill yourself with warm, loving kindness. Generate this loving kindness from your own mind. This loving kindness can take on the form of white light or white nectar. Or you can focus just on the feeling, it's fine too. You fill yourself with so much loving kindness, it now overflows outwards, radiates to your loved ones initially. May they be happy. May they be free from suffering. May they be peaceful. Now extend this loving kindness further now to also include strangers. Those people that you may know a little bit. Maybe the person you walk past when you're out for your walks, or the person in the shop. You don't really know them. You don't sort of think about them. Well, now you can think about them and extend loving kindness towards them, or to them, as well as those people that you don't know at all around the world. May they be happy, free from suffering, and may they be peaceful. And radiate this love and kindness out to also include those that you may find difficult, may even regard as enemies, as I mentioned earlier. May these people also have happiness, be free from suffering, and be peaceful. May all of these three types of people that we perceive, may they engage in the causes of happiness. May they abandon engaging in causes of unhappiness or suffering. May they cause peace for themselves and for those around them, and for the whole world. Now gradually radiate this loving kindness out further to include all of those living beings that live near you, whether they live on the land or even under the land, in the waters, fly through the air, whether they are born or to be born, whether they are born from wombs or eggs, from moisture, through transformation. May they live in safety and joy, whether they are weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, whether they're seen or unseen, near or distant. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Gradually radiate further and further now to include all of the living beings within your state or county. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world, initially those that you're familiar with and have an affinity for, as well as those you don't know much or anything about, and even those that for some reason you may have an aversion towards. May all of the living beings throughout the whole world be peaceful, be happy, and free from suffering. And now your radiation of the loving kindness has so much momentum, it now spreads to other worlds throughout the whole solar system. and other solar systems throughout the whole galaxy, and other galaxies throughout the whole universe, and all of the universes throughout infinite space. And at the same time, be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And so, from next week, we go back to the other formula of not having as much instruction. I think to be reminded with the instruction is a good thing, but also it's a good thing when you memorize it, so that you have it with you everywhere you go, and you can access it everywhere you go. And that's also a good point to mention is some scriptures even, like the Buddha's teachings or other teachers' teachings. Maybe you can work to memorize some of them, the short ones initially, and just try to memorize them so that you can recite them in your mind even. Let's say you're a passenger in a car, or you're on a bus, or you're walking, nice casual walk through the park. You can recite them in your mind so that your mind becomes absorbed with the teachings. Maybe that's another New Year wish of mine, is that you can memorize more of the teachings. Okay. The Buddha beings at that time, they had minds they had very good memories. They didn't have a lot of distractions like us these days, and so they were able to focus 100% on memorizing, then contemplating, and then absorbing their mind with the teachings. So we should try to do likewise, follow in the footsteps of the great masters from the past, I like to say. And okay, so obviously we're still on the 6 paramitas, 6 transcendental perfections. We've covered generosity, morality, patience, effort, and concentration so far. Maybe you can revise some of those classes on my YouTube channel, or other classes as well from other times. But we are still to talk about the 3 aspects of, and other aspects too, of the wisdom part, okay? Which is the part that makes them all paramitas. The perfection of wisdom allows the other paramitas, the other perfections, to be perfect. Okay, so we'll start doing that in a couple of weeks' time, maybe even a few weeks' time, and then we'll finish off this 6 paramita commentary, maybe with 1 or 2 weeks of summarizing. But today I will just continue doing what we did just prior to the short break, and that is giving some explanation of the prayers that we chant before class, okay, and the preliminary prayers or verses. And we probably won't finish that today. Maybe we finish that next week. And but we, like I said, like I always say, we're not going to rush these things, and maybe even answer some questions and things like that. Okay. So and then after we finish these 6 paramitas, I thought we'd do as we did after the commentary on the 5 skandhas last year. It's funny saying last year, isn't it? It was only like 6 months ago or something. But we did a bunch of classes, maybe 3 or 4 classes of Q&A. So people have sent me a lot of questions over time, and I have recorded them. I have written them down, a lot of them. So maybe we can do that, but also fresh new questions as well. If you want to send me some questions related to the teachings that we have been having, or related to anything to do with life, you can ask the questions and then I will answer. Sometimes shorter answers to the point, and sometimes longer answers as well. So I thought maybe we can do that. Maybe you can put your thumb up like this if you agree, if you're happy with doing that. Good. And then we will start the next subject after that. And at the moment, I'm thinking, as I've mentioned before, the 8 verses of thought transformation. which was written, I can't remember the name of the Lama, I really should remember that, but a Tibetan Lama from, I think, the 12th century. And these are very important verses for transforming the mind, becoming more compassionate, more wise, transforming and being more proactive, looking after our mind rather than reactive. Okay, so I think these 8 verses are very good for our practice. We have done them in face-to-face classes on one occasion, where we utilize some commentary by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This time around, I think I just do it from the top of my head. It's a practice that I have been doing daily, even a few times a day sometimes, since 1997, I think, something like that. So I have some small understanding so that I can share with you. And so anyway, the prayers. I will recap what we spoke about prior to the break. So the first prayer we do, Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa, loosely translated to English, I pay homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened Buddha, the Supremely Enlightened One. And so this is to develop more and more respect for the Buddha, okay? And then, of course, his teachings. If we pay homage to or venerate, then we're more likely then to pay attention to these teachings. The more we respect someone or something, the more we're going to pay attention to it and then put it into practice. So this is the start, and also you could say that this is the start of the prayers, so that we actually pay attention to the next lot of prayers as well. Okay, so it's a good one to start with. It was apparently the first verse, apart from the teachings, the first verse that was chanted, apart from the refuge in the 2 jewels. It's 3 jewels now, but 2 jewels at that time. There was the Buddha, so there was like Buddham, saranam, gacchami, Dhammam, saranam, gacchami. So they were the first lot, I believe. I've read this before and been told this before. Okay, so then, so that's the second prayer we do, is taking refuge in the 3 jewels. So if you do it in English, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha, or I take refuge in the Supremely Enlightened One, or ones even, and I take refuge in the Immaculate Dharma teachings, or the immaculate teachings that lead to enlightenment, and I also take refuge in the supportive spiritual community. And taking refuge means we have trust, confidence, faith. As I've said before, just like you have some faith that if it's pouring with rain outside, and you go inside your house, you have the confidence that you're going to stay dry. It's like that in a way. Your doctor, for instance, your doctor says, okay, take these medications because they will help you get better if you're not feeling well. Then you will have trust and take refuge in that, don't you? But of course, the refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, this lasts until enlightenment. So it doesn't just last in this lifetime. It actually continues. And if we supplement all of our practices with based on refuge, supplement with refuge, and also with the Bodhichitta intention, then we will improve so much quicker. Okay, our practice will become much easier for us. Even we make great effort, starts to become more joyful, more happiness in our practice, and easier, like I said. Okay, so this is we take refuge. We take refuge 3 times. Some people have asked me about that. How come you do things 3 times? I think maybe because we don't pay attention the first time. Second time, maybe a little bit more. And then by the 3rd time, we should be paying more attention, and being more aware. I think that's the reason, we tend to do a lot of things in 3. So maybe there is some cosmic, some sort of magical thing about doing things in 3. But I think it's, if you look on it based on common sense, that's what it tells me, that we need to say certain prayers or verses 3 times, really to absorb our mind, to be really aware of them and the meaning of them, and then adopt this in our everyday lives. Okay, so there's that one in Pali, and then in Sanskrit, of course, we do it again, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. And then the next prayer is to generate bodhicitta. Of course, we are still taking refuge in this prayer as well, but we are basically saying that we're going to practice and we're going to perfect the perfections. We're going to practice the Dharma. And based on this, all of this good energy that we create, all of this merit that we create, may we soon as possible, attain enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings. And we also remind ourselves that we are not yet enlightened, isn't it? We say, I take refuge until I'm enlightened. So we're reminding ourselves that we've got a lot of work to do still. So don't get ahead of yourself. Even if your practice starts to become very advanced, don't cling to that. Don't grasp at it, and don't get pride with it, get arrogance. We need to remain humble in our practice always. Okay, so then we do that 3 times as well. And then the next prayer is the 4 immeasurable prayer. Now, the 4 immeasurables can also be known as the 4 sublime states of mind, or in Pali, Brahmavihara, the abodes, the sublime abodes. And these are, as you probably already know, compassion, loving kindness, compassion, empathetic joy, and equanimity. And of course, equanimity is the basis of this, because the mind that is a mind of equanimity actually is a mind that is free from bias, free from attachment to what we find pleasing, and free from aversion to that which we find repulsive. So our mind is free. And so then with this free mind, free of attachment and aversion as much as possible, we're then able to be non-biased in our expression, in our practice of loving kindness, of compassion, and of empathetic joy. Okay, so I think I spoke a little bit about those ones in the previous class, and so I won't talk about it more apart from very basics. Generally, universal loving kindness is having the wish for all living beings to be happy and have the cause of happiness. Is the expression of compassion. May all living beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Empathetic joy. May all living beings never be separated from the happiness which is beyond suffering. So we have empathy for all living beings, and we have joy when they are successful in all of their goodness, in all of their merit. Okay, we don't get jealous because if they are better than us, that type of thing. Okay, so we've only have 1:20 to go, but I'm glad that I recapped that because it actually was almost 4 weeks ago, wasn't it? Or 4 weeks to the day since we did the last class. I thought last week I'd give you an extra week off. Okay, so I think some of you were busy anyway, I imagine. So anyway, so it's, like I said, less than 1 minute to go now. Please, like I said earlier in the class, just do your best just to study well. Increase the studies a little bit if you can. Try to memorize what it is you're studying so that you can bring it to your mind at any time and contemplate. Use your ability to investigate and analyze whether something is real or not real, and so forth. And then increase your length of breath meditation, maybe. If you practice Vipassana meditation, as I just mentioned, then increase the time you do that as well. It only has to be a few minutes even, but the more you do that, the more it starts to become a habit to do longer sessions and so forth, okay? Increase your compassion, increase your loving kindness, and your wisdom will improve naturally the more we do